My two roommates made me turn gay. Moving into college, I thought having two roommates would be just about sharing space, splitting rent, and dealing with occasional late-night noise. I never expected it to be something more. I never expected the teasing glances, the lingering touches, the tension that only grew stronger with every night we spent together. At first, I ignored it. I told myself it was nothing. But the way they looked at me, the way they spoke to me in low, knowing voices, the way their hands always found ways to graze against mine, it was never nothing. I tried to resist. I tried to tell myself I was straight. But some desires can't be ignored forever. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. This is a story about temptation, curiosity, and the kind of nights that change everything. Let's dive into a story where friendships turn into something more, where boundaries blur, and where I discovered a side of myself I never saw coming. I always thought of myself as straight. Before college, I had never even questioned it. Sure, I had close male friends. I had joked around in locker rooms, and maybe I had noticed when a guy was attractive. But that didn't mean anything, right? That's what I told myself. That's what I believed. Until I moved in with Noah and Liam. Our dorm was small but comfortable, 2 bedrooms connected by a shared common area. From day one, we clicked. Noah was the outgoing one, always teasing, always looking for an excuse to touch, to playfully shove, to throw his arm around my shoulders. Liam was different, quieter, but intense in a way I couldn't explain. He didn't need to be loud. He just had to look at me, and I felt something I didn't want to admit. We became close fast, late-night gaming sessions, gym workouts, even sharing a few beers when we weren't supposed to. We were comfortable with each other. At least, I thought we were. Until the night, everything started to change. It was a Friday night, and we had all planned to stay in. The dorm was warm, the air thick with the scent of leftover pizza and cheap cologne. I was lying on the couch, scrolling through my phone, while Noah and Liam sat nearby, deep in conversation. I wasn't really listening, until Noah's voice dropped just slightly. "You ever think about it?" Liam raised an eyebrow. "Think about what?" Noah smirked, glancing at me before turning back to Liam. "What it'd be like, with a guy." My stomach tightened. Liam didn't react at first. He just took a sip from his drink, watching me like he was waiting to see what I'd do. I forced a laugh, shaking my head. "Dude, what kind of question is that?" Noah shrugged, that damn smirk still on his lips. "Just asking. We're all guys here. We talk about girls all the time. Why not talk about this?" I scoffed. "Because it's different." "Is it?" Liam's voice was quieter, but somehow heavier. I looked at him. He didn't blink. A slow, uncomfortable heat crept up my neck. Noah leaned back against the couch, stretching his arms behind his head. "Come on, man. You're telling me you've never even thought about it?" I could feel the way they were both looking at me now, the weight of their attention pressing down on my skin. I shook my head quickly. "No, never." Noah hummed, unconvinced. "Liar." Liam's lips curved just slightly, his eyes still locked on mine. "I think he's scared to admit it." I felt those words in my chest. A lump formed in my throat. "I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about." Noah just grinned, standing up and stretching. "Relax, man. It's just talk." But it wasn't just talk. I could feel it. The way Noah's gaze lingered. The way Liam's lips twitched in amusement. The way my entire body reacted even though I wanted to pretend it didn't. Something was happening. Something I wasn't ready for. Later that night, when the dorm was quiet, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I could hear them moving in the other room, the soft murmur of voices, the sound of something I couldn't quite place. I swallowed hard. I wasn't supposed to be thinking about this. I wasn't supposed to feel this heat, this curiosity, this frustration curling in my stomach, but I did. And I had a feeling Noah and Liam knew exactly what they were doing. The next morning, everything felt different. I told myself it was nothing, just some stupid conversation, late-night jokes between guys who were too comfortable around each other. But no matter how hard I tried to shake it off, I couldn't ignore the way Noah and Liam were acting. Because they knew. They knew something had shifted, and they weren't going to let me ignore it. We spent most of the day in the dorm, lazing around like we always did. Noah had a basketball game playing in the background, Liam was on his laptop, and I was pretending to be on my phone, when really, I was watching them. Or maybe they were watching me. At first, things felt normal, until Noah stretched, his shirt lifting just enough to reveal the toned lines of his stomach. I looked away too fast. He noticed. Something wrong? His voice was casual, but there was a dangerous glint in his eyes. I forced a laugh. What? No, just tired. Noah smirked. Sure. Liam didn't say anything, but he didn't have to. He just leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving me. That tension from last night? It was still there. Later that evening, I went to shower, hoping the cold water would help clear my head. It didn't. If anything, it made things worse. I couldn't stop thinking about them. About the way Noah's voice had dropped last night. The way Liam's gaze had pinned me in place. I gripped the edge of the sink, breathing hard, staring at myself in the mirror. This was insane. I wasn't... Before I could finish that thought, there was a knock at the door. Hey man, you done? Noah's voice. Yeah, I called back, quickly wrapping a towel around my waist. I cracked open the door, and he was right there. Shirtless, smirking, too close. His gaze dropped just for a second, before flicking back up to meet mine. My throat went dry. Chill, dude, Noah said, grinning like he knew exactly what he was doing. You look like you've seen a ghost. I stepped past him too quickly, my skin burning where his arm brushed against mine. Liam was sitting on his bed, watching. He didn't react. He just kept looking at me, like he could see right through me. I grabbed some clothes and hurried back into the bathroom, slamming the door shut. My hands were shaking. What the hell was happening to me? That night, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every sound from their room felt louder than usual. The creak of the bed, the low murmur of voices, the occasional soft laughter. I turned onto my side, squeezing my eyes shut. Then, a knock at my door. My heart stopped. I swallowed hard. Yeah? Noah's voice was too casual. You asleep? I hesitated. No. The door creaked open slightly, and then he was there, leaning against the frame, wearing nothing but sweatpants. My pulse hammered. Come hang out, he said, smirking. Liam and I are just talking. I knew this was a bad idea. I knew I should say no, but I didn't. I got up. I followed him. And when I stepped into their room and saw Liam sitting back on his bed watching me, I realized I was already too far gone. The second I stepped into their room, I knew I'd made a mistake. Or maybe I hadn't. The air inside felt thicker, warmer, like something unspoken had been building up for weeks and was finally about to break. Liam was on his bed, leaning back against the pillows, his dark eyes fixed on me. Noah, still shirtless, flopped down next to him, stretching out like he owned the place. You looked tense earlier, Noah said, tilting his head. Something on your mind? I forced a laugh, rubbing the back of my neck. Nah, man, just tired. Liam raised an eyebrow. You sure? The way he said it sent a shiver down my spine. I swallowed hard, glancing toward the door. I could still walk away. I could still pretend this was normal. But Noah? He wasn't going to let that happen. He patted the space between them on the bed, smirking. "Come on, dude. We don't bite." Liam's lips twitched slightly. "Unless you want us to." My stomach flipped. I should have laughed it off. I should have rolled my eyes and told them to stop messing with me. Instead, I sat down, right between them. For a moment, none of us spoke. I could feel Noah's body heat on one side, Liam's slow, steady breath on the other. I was trapped, and I didn't hate it. Noah was the first to break the silence. "So, be honest." He shifted closer, voice low. "You've thought about it, haven't you?" I stiffened. "Thought about what?" Liam exhaled a quiet laugh. "This." The room felt too small, too intimate. Noah leaned in slightly, his shoulder brushing against mine. "I mean, we're all friends here. No judgment, just curiosity." I tried to swallow, but my throat was dry. "I don't know what you guys are talking about." Liam moved then, slowly, deliberately, just enough so that his fingers grazed my wrist. "You do," he murmured. Something in my chest tightened. I should have pushed them away. I should have laughed it off. Instead, I just sat there, my pulse pounding. "You want to know the truth?" Noah's voice was softer now, teasing. I turned toward him too quickly, and suddenly our faces were too close. He smirked. "We've been waiting for you to figure it out." My heart stopped. Then, Liam's hand on my thigh, Noah's breath, warm against my skin. Every thought in my head shut down. And just like that, I knew. There was no going back. The room felt hotter, like the air itself had thickened, pressing down on me. My breathing was uneven, my thoughts a jumbled mess, and yet I wasn't moving away. Noah's smirk deepened, his fingers grazing my arm, his touch barely there but impossible to ignore. Liam, quieter, more controlled, was watching me closely. His hand was still resting on my thigh, his grip light but intentional, like he was waiting to see what I'd do next. The problem was, I had no idea what I was supposed to do. My voice came out hoarse, and I hated how unsteady I sounded. "You guys are messing with me." Noah chuckled. "Are we?" Liam tilted his head slightly. "Because it doesn't look like you want us to stop." I swallowed hard, my body betraying me in ways I didn't understand. I should have laughed it off. Should have pushed them away, acted like none of this meant anything. But I didn't. I just sat there, trapped between Noah's teasing grin and Liam's quiet intensity. And the worst part? I liked it. Noah leaned in, his lips dangerously close to my ear. "Tell us to stop," he whispered, "and we will." Liam's fingers pressed just slightly harder against my thigh, a silent challenge. A single word. That's all it would take. But it wouldn't come, because I didn't want them to stop. And they knew it. Noah pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, his smirk turning into something more serious. "You've never thought about it before?" he asked, voice lower now. I shook my head, but it was a lie, and we all knew it. Liam exhaled a quiet laugh, his fingers trailing the edge of my knee. "Liar." My whole body shuddered. Noah watched me for a moment longer, then glanced at Liam. A look passed between them, one I didn't understand but felt deep in my chest. Liam smirked, and then he kissed me. Not rushed, not forceful, just a test. A slow, careful brush of lips, barely a breath between us. I should have pulled away. Instead, I froze. Every nerve in my body felt like it had caught fire. Liam pulled back just enough to gauge my reaction, his dark eyes searching mine. Noah was grinning now, amused, satisfied. "Still think we're messing with you?" he murmured. My heart slammed against my ribs. I had no answer, because for the first time in my life, I had no idea who I was anymore. I should have pulled away. I should have said something, anything, to break the moment. But I didn't. I just sat there, frozen, my skin burning where Liam's lips had touched mine. Noah was still watching, that damn smirk playing on his lips like he already knew what was coming next. And maybe he did. Because when Liam pulled back, his dark eyes locking onto mine, something inside me snapped. I wasn't supposed to want this. I wasn't supposed to feel like this. But I did. Noah chuckled under his breath, leaning in just slightly. "You're thinking too much." I swallowed hard. Liam's fingers trailed lightly against my thigh again, sending a sharp jolt of electricity up my spine. "You want us to stop?" Liam's voice was low, steady, but there was something challenging in the way he said it, like he already knew the answer, like he knew I couldn't say it. I licked my lips, pulse hammering in my ears. "I don't..." Noah shifted closer. "You don't what?" I exhaled sharply, my heart racing. "I don't know." Liam tilted his head, studying me, his hand still resting on my leg. "Then let's help you figure it out." The room felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. My breath was shallow, my thoughts a tangled mess, but my body was betraying me completely. Noah leaned in again, this time closer to my other ear. "We don't have to rush this." His breath was warm, teasing. "We've got all night." My stomach tightened. All night. I should have walked away. I should have stopped this before it was too late. But as Liam's fingers traced slow, deliberate patterns against my skin, and Noah's voice sent shivers down my spine, I knew one thing for sure. I didn't want to stop, and they knew it too. I didn't stop them. I couldn't. Liam's hand was still resting on my thigh, his fingers tracing slow, lazy circles against my skin. Noah was close, his breath warm against my neck, his presence everywhere all at once. The tension in the room had built up to something undeniable, something that had been waiting to explode for weeks, maybe longer. And I was done pretending. "You don't have to be nervous," Noah said, voice low, teasing. "We'll take it slow." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "I'm not nervous." Liam hummed softly, his lips just barely brushing against my jaw. "Then what are you?" My head was spinning. My body felt hot, almost feverish, every nerve on edge. I was drowning in them, and I wasn't sure I wanted to come up for air. "I don't know," I admitted. It was the truth. I had spent my whole life thinking I was one thing, straight, normal, whatever the hell that meant. But now? Now I wasn't sure of anything except this moment, except them. Noah chuckled under his breath, his fingers trailing along my arm. "Then let's help you figure it out." I should have been embarrassed. I should have pulled away, told them this was too much, too fast. But when Liam kissed me again, slow and deep and completely in control, I felt something inside me shatter. Every wall, every excuse, every damn thing I had built up to keep myself from admitting the truth, it all came crashing down in a single breath. And I didn't want to stop. Not anymore. Noah was grinning when Liam pulled away, amusement flickering in his gaze. "You're a fast learner," he teased, nudging my shoulder. I licked my lips, still tasting Liam, my heart pounding. "Shut up," Liam smirked. "Make him." Something dark and thrilling curled low in my stomach at the challenge. And for the first time that night, I made a move. I turned to Noah, grabbed the back of his neck, and kissed him. His surprised inhale was muffled against my lips, but it didn't take him long to take control, his hands sliding down my arms, his mouth hot and demanding against mine. Liam watched, quiet but intensely focused, his fingers still resting on my leg. I didn't recognize myself in that moment. And I didn't care, because whatever this was, whatever we were doing, I was all in. The night blurred into a haze of heat and reckless exploration. I didn't know where one of us ended and the other began. It was too much, too good, too intense, but I didn't want it to stop. And when I finally lay back, breathless and dazed, Noah and Liam on either side of me, something inside me settled. Like I'd been fighting this for too long, and now I had finally let go. Noah chuckled softly, fingers brushing my chest. "So? Still straight?" I groaned, shoving him lightly. "You're an ass." Liam smirked, his head resting against my shoulder. "I think that's a no." I exhaled, staring at the ceiling, my heart still racing. I don't care anymore." They both grinned, satisfied. And just like that, I knew. There was no going back. The next morning, everything felt different. Not in a bad way, but in a holy shit, did that really happen kind of way. I woke up between them, the warmth of their bodies still lingering against mine. For a moment, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to process the fact that everything had changed. Noah stretched beside me, grinning. "Morning, lover boy." Liam chuckled, his fingers brushing my waist. "Still thinking too much?" I exhaled sharply, running a hand through my hair. "This is insane," Noah smirked. "You love it." And the thing was, I did. Days passed, and what happened that night didn't fade. It only intensified. Touches that used to be accidental were now intentional. Glances lasted longer. And at night, when the dorm was quiet, when the lights were off, we always ended up back in the same place, together. But deep down, I knew something was coming. A shift. A moment where I'd have to face what this really meant, because this wasn't just a fling, it wasn't just a game, it was real. And once I admitted that, there really would be no going back.